I started Inclusion Plus because after many years of being a principal, I recognized that there was a significant need in order to improve sustainable systems and structures for special education students. My knowledge, my expertise, my studies really have empowered me in order to want to go out and to support other schools, other districts, improve their systems and structures in a way that is quick, efficient, and impactful for students receiving special education services, and in turn, it will benefit all students. At Inclusion Plus, we really think of special education system and structures in 5 different components, and we understand that they're very much interconnected. And so you can't necessarily focus on one without doing a really good job of focusing on the other. And so an example would be, is we needed to make sure that we supported an elementary school in understanding special education law, special education compliance, expectations that should be happening in the classroom, and also supporting their para-education staff. And so what I did is I worked closely with an elementary school principal, went in, looked at their systems, looked at their structures, looked at their budget, looked at their staffing, figured out what would work for them in order to make sure that the staff was trained in a way that it didn't take an entire school year to have them understand how to support students with special education needs, and implement some things on the back end that allowed them to have sustainable staffing structures for years out. I went to the University of Connecticut for my undergraduate. I have a degree in finance. I then went and decided to go back to teaching after living in Spain for a year teaching English. So I moved home. I got my single subject teaching credential in Spanish, and then I also got my master's degree in education administration, which allowed me to become an administrator. I've taught at both the middle school level and have worked at the elementary school level. I've been an assistant principal at elementary school, in a Title I school, and then also at a more affluent school, and I have been a principal for the last several years. I recently completed my doctorate in education through the University of Pennsylvania, and I looked very closely at emotional intelligence, principal leadership, and how those things are interconnected, specifically for special education systems and structures. So one of the unique advantages of living and growing up in the Bay Area has been surrounded by technology that has changed the world. So understanding that and leveraging AI that is coming out, that is making spaces more efficient, allowing us to look through data quicker, allowing us to make decisions in a way that combines the human interaction and human expertise component with the AI technology component, allows us to work very closely with school districts and at a cost that is effective and efficient for our schools. Privacy is an area that we want to make sure that we completely adhere to all of the guidelines. Something that is also very unique and special about Inclusion Plus is we don't necessarily need individual data of individual students. What we need is aggregated data of trends that are happening across various departments or across various sectors. And so because of that, we do not compromise or have to go into any specific data systems that could potentially compromise the privacy of students and student data. So one of the unique things, again, about Inclusion Plus is because the way that we've designed our system, because of the way that we use technology, because of the way that we use experts, we pass along that low to minimal cost to schools. So when schools have a monthly partnership service with Inclusion Plus, while they are getting access to various experts in various fields at a very nominal cost. And so we understand that there's staffing constraints, we understand there's training constraints, and so we've really positioned ourselves uniquely in the market to make sure that we are different in a way that we partner with people from the very beginning to end. We have various points of contact every month. We do some of the heavy lifting of the back end of the analysis and the support, and that allows us to optimize staffing at schools that maybe they are unable to provide compensation or hire people, but they are able to use us. That unlocks a network of experts. Based upon my research, based upon my learning, based upon our group of experts, we really understand that ongoing continuous training and support is important in order for people to potentially make changes to what they're doing every day in the classroom or in terms of how they're engaging with their students or with each other on campus. So that is another way that we are very unique in how we address the training and support. We understand what your school-based system is, when you have staff meetings, when you have time with your staff. We work with any time constraints that you may have, and we make sure that we deliver something that is accessible to all of your staff. It is something that we don't necessarily believe in the one and done aspect of training. We really want to make sure that we already have that thought and built into your system throughout the year, and that's something that we work closely with your district and your principals on. When we say compliance and we say the legality of compliance, we understand that there is a range of compliance concerns that happen at school districts. We understand that school districts are responsible for making sure that they're filling out the paperwork appropriately, that they're turning things into the state. But we also understand that there's the real life component of compliance of what do IEPs look like? How are those being implemented with integrity? What are we making sure to support people that are working with the students every single day and the staff that is working with students in order to become compliant? So we understand that the range of compliance is going to create a differentiated approach in order to making sure we reach those compliance concerns. One of the first things that we would do is we would schedule a meeting. We can either come in person, we can also schedule a virtual meeting. We're very flexible to when it works best for you. And at that initial meeting, we will understand what are some of the big areas of concerns and needs. We then take that data, we take that information, we create what we call a scope and sequence, a range of support throughout a 12-month cycle. And then we make sure that we do all of the planning from that initial meeting to what it would look like at the end of the 12 months. I definitely think in my experience in working in education over the last 10 years, leading and being a principal during the pandemic, having students return after school, after the pandemic, after being at home, all of those things, all these various factors and variables that have contributed. Something that I've noticed is there continues to be we have to catch up, and there's not necessarily a proactive approach in order to preventing things that are predictable. So something that is unique about us is we really think about these things in a long-term basis. Our goal at Inclusion Plus is to work with a school or a school district for anywhere from 1 to 2 years, really create that solid sustainability infrastructure, and then be able to leave and continue to support other schools and other systems.